It is good to see you too.
Oh,
Oh, we're live.
we're live
Yep,
and in
YouTube
living
hasn't
color.
quite caught up yet, but we should be any moment here.
YouTube lags. The
All
YouTube
right. I
lags.
think I can talk to y'all and do what I'm doing at the same time. My best friend's asking me to download a game, and trying to find room for said game on my little phone.
Yeah, room is always an issue.
Well, there's so much in there that they put, and they're like, if you delete this, this will mess the entire phone up. And it's like, but I
room
don't.
is always an issue. I know. Right?
There's so much freaking use it.
It just played the stream on my phone.
Yeah, I heard the echo. I was like,
Okay.
wait, I thought
Yeah,
I
I
didn't
was
have
wondering
it up.
who was.
That's what
No,
it
it
was.
wasn't me. I'm not even. I have headphones on for one thing, and for another, I'm not at the actual page. I just logged into the Google Hangouts. But yeah.
Yeah, that's what I did on my computer. I just had it opened on my phone. I forgot that it was sitting there on the couch.
All right.
Well,
I
I've got
do.
the Google page open, but it's muted just so I can see if anything happens there.
Yeah. Hello, May. What's up?
I should probably get to the page so that I can read the side chats. And also turn
What I
off.
find works best is when you've got the Yahoo up, hit the three dots above the chat, and it'll say pop out chat.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can pull the chat as a separate window, and you can size it to fit over the Google Hangouts, so then you can read the chat without having to switch screens.
Oh yeah, I already do that normally. It's just like I said, my focus was on getting things set up, and unfortunately, clearing my phone is going to take more brain power than I've got right now. So I'm just gonna wait.
I feel you.
I'll talk to her tomorrow. I'll let her and her husband know.
I love my friend. She sent me a mic, which I thanked her for after I bitched her out.
Yeah, it's like, why did you do this for me? Oh my God, you need to stop doing this.
That's pretty much exactly how that conversation went. Yes.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
Hello.
Good evening. I'm super tired, but whatever.
How do I have so many things on my screen? Oh my God. Ah.
Okay, we have somebody new here.
Uh-oh.
I actually just met May in Sharon Q's chat a couple hours ago. But we started getting into an interesting discussion, but it wasn't relevant to the topic going on there. So I told her if she was up that she could come and join us.
Am I still here?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, that's weird. On my screen, it blacked out. It says the video call has ended because the computer went to sleep. What the heck?
Okay.
I know. I can't see anything. Help me.
I'm not one for the techie questions. Well, if it's really a problem, you may have to drop out and just reboot.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out why it's...
But we'll be here.
Computer. I'm trying to tell the computer it's not asleep.
So far, we've got Bub and Doc Fearson in the side chat.
Oh, what's up? I just watched your video today. Hello, Doc, and hello, Bub. Yeah, I just watched his video earlier today that came out.
Yeah, I actually just watched that like an hour ago.
I'm so far behind at everything. I slept all day today. Yay.
Oh, you so lucky. I tried to sleep all day. It didn't work.
I am not feeling well. Like it's not telling over my voice, but I am in pain and tired.
That is a horrible combination. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, so hopefully I'll be able to stay as long as I normally do, but I may have to duck out at some point. I'm surprised Diana's not in here. Usually she beats everybody.
I know.
Yeah, she's usually the first one, and
I know.
She was also bugging us in the chat. She's like, "Hello, moo, moo,
yeah,
hi."
I saw her with the joke on Twitter there, so she was here just a little while ago.
Yeah, I asked her something to the effect of "What's up" or something
Yeah,
like
what
that.
are you up to?
Oh, what are you up
Yeah.
to? And yeah, she answered 5'9". Like, I
I
totally asked for that.
I need to use Twitter more, but yeah, I don't really do a whole lot of Twitter. Yeah. Anyway, I
Like,
need to use that thing more. But I don't know. It seems the more that people use that, the more they get in trouble. So,
yeah. I don't know. Follow me.
Yeah, you do
I'm
not need to use Twitter more. Twitter is just, if you're lucky, Twitter is just a bunch of cat pics,
Yeah,
but usually it's just a
it's
lot of people
drama.
causing unnecessary drama.
I know.
Yep.
It's a
Yeah,
lot of drama.
I'm only using Twitter because I can't use other forms of social media to really reach out to people right now. So
See,
it
that's
seems,
mainly why I want to use it too. Cuz like
see,
I don't use Facebook anymore at all.
yeah, I wish I didn't have to use Facebook, but unfortunately, that's the easiest place for a lot of us to gather in
Mm,
in some of the groups that I'm in.
yeah.
Um,
See, I'm on a Facebook strike. Like I left Facebook 2 years ago and I have not been back.
I completely understand that. It's just like um it's very, very hard for asexual groups to form. Like, Twitter
Yeah.
is good for communicating, but
Yeah.
it's really, really hard due to the character limit and stuff for you to
Right, you
actually
can't have
form
a
a group
conversation.
and do events and stuff like that,
Yeah.
you know?
Absolutely,
So
100%.
that's where my problem lies.
Twitter's
Uh,
kind of my outlet for all the stuff that I don't want to put up on Facebook where my family can see it.
that's kind of the position I'm in too.
There you go.
Because 99% of what I say on Twitter, if I said around my family, there'd be issues.
Mm,
I'm
yeah.
just gotta get it out of my system, so I'm just kind of outrageous.
Well,
There's
Twitter,
Diana.
around my family, there'd be issues.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hey, Diana. Hi, Bob.
Hey.
Hey, Diana.
Oops.
Well,
Okay,
Ooh.
that should fix it.
that was one hell of an echo.
It was that was totally my fault too. I'll own it. Normally, I remember to mute the stream I'm coming into.
I never do, but I wear headphones on these, so
Yeah, we all do it occasionally.
if y'all for some reason the mic on my actual computer is busted, so y'all wouldn't be able to hear me if I wasn't using headphones.
Gotcha.
So wait. If I want to wear a headphone, then I don't get it. It's no. I know. I'm not on camera. I got the phone on my head.
My computer is
Well,
still
actually,
that
it
one.
works better if the camera's in front of you instead of if you're on top of it. But
Okay. I will be right back, guys. Okay.
All right.
I'm gonna exit.
Why
and
did I
reenter.
chase you away? Is that it?
No, not at all. My screen went black a little bit ago, and I can't get it to reboot for some reason. So I got to get out of Hangouts and then pop back in.
No.
There's my
No.
head. There's my
No. No. I'm sorry. My cat has decided that it's his wild child time, and he's testing where he can and cannot be right now. So I
Oh,
apologize in advance if I don't hit mute mic before yelling at him.
that's
How
okay.
dare you try to control your floof? How dare you?
Oh, he's angry about it. He's like, "What do you mean I can't be there? I can get on top of it, so apparently I can be there, right?"
okay. Let's see. Hangouts.
Well, May, since you're new to the group, why don't you introduce yourself to everyone?
Sure, I may. I'm a non-binary trans woman. I'm also extremely tired. I've been up since 6 a.m. and it's 1 a.m. here, so
Okay,
yeah.
fine.
But I don't work tomorrow, so it's fine.
So basically, if you pass out and it starts
No.
snoring, just let you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm a bit of an insomniac, so
Oh.
unless I get really tired, I won't be able to sleep. And I had a bit of a nap, so
Oh.
I get the same way. So yeah, I feel you there.
I have no sleep schedule, and unless I'm sick or heavily medicated, I virtually never sleep more than 2 hours at a time.
That's horrible.
No.
That is just awful.
I couldn't do that. I used to do that at one point, but I can't anymore.
Well, I can do it as long as people leave me alone. It's when people expect me to actually do things during daylight hours that I have a problem.
I know, right? Damn people. I'm like, really? I know the sun's out, but for me, I'm a vampire. I'm trying to sleep here. Like, can you leave me
that's
in
why I
peace?
gotta get out of this town, because around here, it's like everything closes at 5 o'clock.
No.
Oh, yeah,
You know,
that's
I
a
need to be
problem.
someplace that's at least big enough to have a 24-hour grocery store.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, we're kind of like that.
Yeah, I live in a big city. Just because you live in a big city does not necessarily mean that you have 24-hour access to things. Just letting you know.
Yeah.
Check it out before you
Very
move.
true. Very true.
Well,
Very true.
mostly I'd like to get back to the Minneapolis-St. Paul area, but that requires money, which I don't have, and living here, my earning potential isn't very good, so I don't know if that's realistic anymore.
Yeah,
Well,
I
hopefully.
understand that. To a degree, we can't ever move out of Florida until my dad retires.
Oh, you're in Florida?
Well,
Yeah.
Oh, I'm jealous. I miss the ocean. I need ocean. Oh my god.
My sister is on SSI, and when you move from one state to another, you have to reapply, and there's a 6-month waiting period.
Oh,
now what kind of bullshit is that? I don't get that.
Yeah, I
don't
never
get it
understood that
either.
either.
I
I never
don't-
understood that.
I have never run into that with SSI.
Well,
I
okay,
would
she won't
check.
lose the money, but she'll lose her insurance. Like, she'll still get paid, but she won't have her disability insurance anymore, because the disability insurance is run through the state programs.
See, mine was seamless.
Ew.
Like whenever I moved, well, I don't give out publicly where I live now, but whenever I moved from one state to another, after I became disabled, yeah, I just called them like preemptively. It was a pretty easy late transition. I was expecting it to be a lot more difficult than it was actually.
I think it actually will depend somewhat on the state you're moving to, but yeah, I have not had that problem with changing states.
I'm wondering if it also too is because my sister is in a slightly different program on top of the Medicaid. Because she's in a program where a lot of her services aren't technically paid through the insurance companies; they're paid through state grants.
Oh, okay, like the extra help benefits and stuff like I got you, because I have that too, but they only, because of the amount of money that I make, I only qualify for them to like pay for a very specific portion of my bills.
Yeah.
So the main portion is paid by Medicare. And so that's probably why she did
she's
have
not on
such a high
Medicare. She's
problem.
not on Medicare. She's on Medicaid. That's the other part of
Okay.
it.
Yeah,
If
that would
if you're
probably
Medicaid,
help.
that is state. And
Yeah.
so if we were to change state, she would have to reapply with the state to
Right.
get it reinstated. And the thing is that usually you get denied at least once.
Yeah.
Usually.
Unfortunately, the denial thing is like part of the package. It's awesome.
Well,
Yeah.
the Social Security is big on the denial.
Oh yeah, it's like 9 out of 10 people. I'm sorry, it's 8 out of 10. Like
Yeah.
in the U.S., 8 out of 10 get denied their first time, and most people, I think it's like, I want to say it's 6 out of 10 end up in my situation, which is actually having to go to court before a judge, which is what I had to do.
Yeah.
But the Medicaid is by state, and as far as rejections and waiting periods, I think that's all dependent on what state you're moving into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when I
That
moved
would
to
be
New
a state of
York
confusion.
and when I moved to Michigan, I really didn't have any noticeable gap.
Yeah. Well, and see, the thing is that if we could guarantee there was no gap, that'd be fine.
Right.
But my little sister costs around $40,000 a year for her
Yeah.
medical
Whoa.
stuff.
Eesh.
Yeah, no, I'm just
Yeah,
saying
it's
you
bad.
need to check that with, wherever
Yeah.
you're planning to go to.
Yeah, that's kind of why we want to wait until my dad retires to move, because then she'll have Medicare, and also
Yeah.
he's thinking about putting her back on his military benefits.
Okay.
That way, either way, she's covered.
Right.
Um, and
Yeah, I'm
also,
still trying to fight with them on, I have I have Medicare, but I don't have Medicaid. I've been fighting with the government for years now, on Medicaid. Apparently I make too much fucking money.
ugh, in our case, my sister's spinal cord injury is often categorized as a back injury, and anybody who's had any
Mm,
dealings with the system will,
yeah,
uh,
that's a hard one.
yeah, and it's like, no, that's not a back thing. That's a
Yep.
spinal cord injury.
Right. Spinal cord and back are not the same thing. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. It's not just she's got back pain. Her spinal cord system, when she was born, was outside of her body.
Oh, wow. I've
Ooh.
heard of that. I've never. Oh my God.
Yeah, and she's actually doing 1,000 times better than we ever thought she would when she was a kid. But
Wow.
I mean, and then we get stuff like every few years, they come back and they're like, "Oh, we'd like to review and make sure that you still
Yep.
qualify." And I get that
Hmm.
sometimes some people go on disability and actually get better
Right.
and don't need the benefits anymore. I
But
get that.
whenever the doctor says in the paperwork and they find in the paperwork that, it's lifelong, especially if it's something you were born with, you know,
Yeah,
kind of
because
a
I
different issue there.
I remember helping her with her paperwork because, she's supposed to write it herself. So I did allow her to write it herself, but she got stumped a few times. And I was reading through with her, and we started to get kind of to a point where it was like, this happened to me in the womb.
Right?
I
Dude, that paperwork will
Okay. Bub,
drive
were you
you
trying to say something? You
bananas.
popped up there a couple of times.
Hmm?
Okay, well, I didn't know if Bub was trying to get something in, or maybe it was just he didn't mute his mic. It's background noise. I couldn't tell.
Yeah, that was Facebook being funny.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry if I'm talking over people. It's just something I'm really passionate about because it's something that as a caregiver I deal with on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
No, I feel you.
once my dad retires, then she'll have Medicare, and if we lose the Medicaid, then it won't be so bad. It'll mean that we're losing her income and my income, but I plan on having a job lined up before we even move. So,
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
which will probably pay slightly more than what I'm getting at entry level, but
Oh,
there are some
nice.
perks to doing what I do. I
Well,
get
good.
to choose. My boss that chooses my hours basically says get them done in a timely fashion. Whenever you want to do them. If you're up to it at 3 o'clock in the morning, do it at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm trying to develop something I can do online. to make enough money to get me, not just to get me out of here, but then there's that problem that after I move, I've got to be able to pay rent until I've been there long enough to build up a customer base to actually make enough money to pay rent.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I'm at. I'm trying to, well, I've got a lot of side hustles, but I'm trying to get to a point where I can, if I can cover at least half of my rent, that would be a great starting position.
Yeah. I tried to sell some of the stuff that I make, but that didn't go very well.
Yeah,
People want
handcraft
to pay.
people don't want to pay for the amount of time you put into them.
No, they don't. They don't want to pay for the time. They want to pay for the materials, which I'm like, oh, so you want to pay me like $3 for like 8 hours of work? That's real sweet.
Well,
Right.
I run into the same thing. My business is doing home repairs. And it's like
Wow.
people don't want to be realistic for the amount of time it takes, because it's like, putting in a new outlet isn't just cutting a hole in the wall and sticking an outlet in. It's going to take me
Right.
2 hours to run the wires from the attic down through the wall.
There's one
Is that
talking.
Sylvia we're hearing?
I love all the meow meows.
Yeah, well, you see, I'm trying to whore out the cat, and that's not getting me any money at all.
Hey, Elmer needs to learn how to use a stripper pole as much as that little bastard costs me.
I'm trying to learn how to use a damn stripper pole, but that's a whole nother conversation.
we have a rather randy kitty here.
Check with Felicia from Utah Outcasts. I understand there's some videos online of her on a stripper pole.
Oh, nice.
I'm not
I found a place
surprised.
that does lessons here for pretty cheap, so I'm looking into that.
I'm not surprised about Felicia. Felicia's one of the few people who can actually make me aroused. So she's damn good at her job.
I'll have to check her out.
Yeah. And that was probably a TMI, but anyways.
Oh no, that's fine. Can somebody type the name in the side chat for me?
I don't know what her actual last name is. I just know it's Felicia from Utah Outcasts.
Okay. Well, I can look that up on my phone.
Yeah, look up Utah Outcast and you'll find her.
A lot of times when she gets tired of trolls, during their comments from trolls thing, where it's like, that bitch in the background needs to like stop being so sexual or something like that. Just like, really? Let me show you what I got. It's like, damn.
I definitely prefer women that don't take shit. So.
I couldn't hear you over Sylvia.
Honey, cool it.
Oh. Is it money or transportation that's the issue with Sylvia?
What, where, when?
Is it money or transportation that's the issue with Sylvia?
Yeah.
Both? Okay.
Well, what I was doing was I was waiting over the winter until the weather got warmer because it's transport. I really don't want to be taking a kitty across town on a bus during the winter, right after she's had surgery.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
Yeah.
It would take me a little while to get some cash together, but I could manage that. It's just a matter of getting it all at the same time, getting the cash and the season and the transportation and all that bullshit.
Oof, yeah.
Diane, I had an idea about that. See if you could schedule a vet appointment for like we were going to do the trip to the Ark Encounter protest.
Yamu.
And see if you could schedule a vet appointment maybe for like the day after that. I could stay on an extra day just to take you to the vet.
Aww.
Aww.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Let me look into that. See how see how everything works.
Okay, this girl can work it. Like, I clicked on a video.
That's what I was saying.
Damn.
Like,
What do you?
I'm,
Are you
Oh, you
looking
found
at
it.
Felicia?
I'm ace as hell, and yet,
Okay,
Like,
I had heard those
I
videos of
I
her
need to
dancing were
learn
out
how
there.
to do this. This is yeah.
Well,
Damn, girl. Whoa.
I have intentionally not watched any of those videos.
Oh, really?
Well, just because already I find her
Nice.
distracting enough that sometimes I can't pay attention to what she's actually saying. So I don't want anything that's going to promote that.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, I've subscribed to her and liked a bunch of her little clips and stuff, and yeah, she just did like a little leg thing, and I'm like, whoa. That was cool. All right.
I don't know what it is. That must be weird. I've never had that problem with her. I have the problem with somebody else. But
Yes, we know.
Yeah.
yeah.
We all know. Oh my God, Diana, I got a mic.
Oh, yay.
I know. My friend sent it to me as a quote belated birthday present, which was just an excuse because my birthday was over 2 months ago. But after I bitched her out, I then thanked her. I'm like, why are you spending money on me? Don't spend money on me. Thank you so much. I love you.
Yeah, I actually had someone online offer to buy me a camera until I realized she probably has less money than I do, so I talked her out of it.
That's so sweet. Like both ways. That's just sweet.
At
Yeah.
this point, if a free headphone came my way that worked and didn't unplug itself all the time, I would be happy. I don't care who it comes from at this point.
You know, and I keep forgetting to look at your wish list for which one you selected there.
This one seems to work really, really well. And she purposely, I did cheat because I went to the interwebs to see how much like this thing costs. But anyway, because she intentionally left that out. But it's not bad. It seems to run. I know she got it on Amazon. It seems to run between $50 and $60 about.
Yep. Actually, the headset I'm using, it's a Logitech, but I picked it up at Walmart for $25.
Yeah, the
Nice.
one that I picked is around the $20 to $30 area, where you find it, and it usually lasts me a pretty long time.
Yeah, well, I kind of figured, I didn't expect this to be all that great, so I'm really surprised by how well it's working.
Yeah, their mice
does
are
work
pretty
well.
good too.
Logitech makes good stuff.
Yeah, it's a good brand.
Yeah. I have some old, like really old Logitech stuff. It's just so out of date. It's kind of ridiculous. Like my phone performs better than.
Oh, we got Spooky in the
It's
side
from way
chat
back.
now.
Yeah. What's up, Spooky?
Yeah. All my stuff is either Logitech or Razer.
Yeah, well, a lot of my stuff is hand-me-downs from people who upgraded, but...
Yeah, I was about to say, I only have the one stuff. I only have the headphones. I don't even have a mouse anymore.
Jeez.
When I joke at my cat that he needs to learn to use a stripper pole, I am halfway joking, but pretty much any of my extra money that is not used for paying bills goes towards this darn cat.
Oh, I feel you. Like I'm trying to every time I stop words. Every time I talk to Spartacus, I looked at him earlier today and he just looked at me like, what? You crazy woman? I was like, hey Spartacus, you want to be my butler? You guys can't see him right now, but he's like staring at me like this evil, like, are you fucking kidding me, woman?
Clearly, you've forgotten your place as the woman's slave.
I told him to get in there and do the dishes, damn it. I'm like,
no,
grow
the-
opposable thumbs and do my dishes.
No, the only reason that cats have not overthrown the world is they don't want to clean their own litter box and they can't operate a can opener.
Mhm.
Agreed. Agreed.
Those damn opposable thumbs.
See, exactly.
Want to know
Actually,
Why
why?
I told him to grow them.
if you think about it for a minute, can you imagine how scary it would be if cats actually could operate a doorknob?
Oh, my cat can open the doors.
Mine hasn't figured
He
that
can
out. Thank
open my
goodness.
doors. Yeah.
Because
Annabelle can't, but Spartacus, yeah, he can open the doors.
yeah, I'm glad mine hasn't figured out how to open the doors because he wants to be an outdoor kitty so bad, and
Oh
no,
no.
no.
Thankfully, as far as the front door goes, number one, it's too heavy. And number two, the position of the doorknob is too high for him. But
Yeah.
so the only ones he can get into are he can get into 2 of the bedrooms and 1 of the bathrooms, but that's it. Everything else is too heavy for him to actually get into.
Yeah, no, my cat is like the Flash and Houdini rolled into one. The other day, he was begging me for food, and I knew he was hungry because I can tell when he is just being a jackass and when he's being hungry. So I went to go get him food. Now, most of the time, I keep him in my room. I do let him out of my room for a few hours every day just to kind of let loose. But he has pica, and so he's not allowed in certain parts of the house.
Yeah.
So, but I was like, all right, I'm going to go get you food. And I thought he was not in a good position to dash out the door. And he's also not allowed in my dad's room because it's hard as hell for us to get him out. My dad is also really afraid of forgetting that he's left him in there and then Elmer getting stuck in his room. But my dad had the door open, and so I opened the door, and Elmer's like, haha, I want to escape more than I want food at this moment. Goes racing down the hallway in a gray streak. He's black and white, by the way, in a gray streak. And I'm yelling at my dad because I know he's got the door open. And I go, Dad. And right as Elmer is getting to the door, my dad gets up and is at the door. Elmer screeches like, oh no. It's the angry old bear. What do I do now?
That's how my cat acts toward my brother.
Yeah.
Like, he's terrified of my brother.
Okay, but so pica is a thing with cats.
Pica is a thing with cats.
Okay, because Sammy's son
can't dogs
always
get
wants to go next door into Sloth Girl's apartment just so he can eat all the colorful yarn scraps off of the rug.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yarn is actually typical for cats to eat. Mine actually likes licking the paint at the doors. And he also likes trying to get to eat anything that tastes like it might come from the outside. So he'll go to the front door and the back door, and he'll gnaw at the doors and get paint chips in them.
Yeah, that's definitely not good.
So what I've done is I've created a barrier from the front of the house to the back of the house because the back of the house is clean and all fine, and we make sure that it's safe for him. But there's no way to keep him away from the front and back doors without completely sectioning that off. Now, the reason I keep him in my room when my dad is home is because for my dad, it's aggravating for him to be at work all day, come home, and then have this barrier that he has to mess with to get between him and the kitchen. And also, I have to catch the cat before he can actually come out. And if I don't hear him, my dad gets stuck in his room because Elmer will try to race in. So when my dad is at work, I will open it up and let him out. But at nighttime, when my dad's home, for the sake of my dad's sanity, I leave I leave Elmer in here with me.
Gotcha.
But and it's unfortunate that I have to do that, but it's the only way I can keep him right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep the peace.
Yeah. Because like I said, my dad doesn't dislike Elmer. It's just he's so afraid that he'll go to sleep and Elmer will get stuck. Because once my dad's asleep, nothing really wakes him up.
Yeah.
The cat could be like clawing at his face and nothing. So killed it.
No,
Ah,
no, yeah, I let Samuelson, basically we go next door to visit for a little while each day just so he gets out of the apartment. And late at night when everybody's asleep, I let him run up and down the hallways. But
Yeah, I didn't know if you were still getting away with that or not because I remember that the person who owns the building was not.
yeah, the building manager got on us about it once, but
aw.
basically we know she's never going to show up past 6 o'clock in the evening. So usually I wait until around midnight to do it. Yeah, because it's like everyone on our floor knows the cats. Nobody, none of the neighbors care.
Aw. That's so cute.
But, it's a way for him to get some exercise. And see, he had been an outdoor cat where I lived before. So I feel really bad about him being stuck in the apartment all the time and not able to go outside.
Do you think he would respond well to a harness or no?
I don't really think he'd like it.
Okay. Because I know, like, there are some cats that you can get away with it, and then there's other cats that it's not going to happen. Like my cat's Solo before he passed away. He was more like a dog. Like you could totally take him out for a walk.
Yeah, if I felt comfortable taking Elmer outside, which I don't because unfortunately we have a lot of stray cats in the area and he's immunocompromised. So I'm always afraid that if he gets too much contact with any of the other cats in the neighborhood, he will get sick and it will make him very, very ill.
Yeah.
But he actually takes to a harness. I put a harness on him and he will be like, "Oh, this means go time. Where are we going? I want to
That's how Solo
explore."
was. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping that I can actually get him okay with taking trips, because I can't leave him with anybody anymore. But if I can take him on trips with me, I can start going places and not have to worry about who's gonna take care of him at home.
Yeah.
So, because unfortunately, he is not a normal cat. I can't just set out a bunch of food for him and then leave him. He's got medicines and he won't always eat dry food. Sometimes he will, but sometimes he won't. So it's gotten to a point where I can't go anywhere. So I'm kind of hoping that him liking the harness is a good sign that he might be up for traveling, especially because he's always trying to escape. Like he doesn't want to escape me or necessarily like living here. He just wants to explore. Like he's a super curious cat.
Yeah, I would just worry about him like escaping from the car and going to explore someplace where you couldn't get to him.
Well, see, here's the thing is that's why he's going to be harnessed. And I also wouldn't have anybody open the door until I have a good handle on him.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that makes sure you've got the leash on him.
Oh, yeah, yeah, he will when we're traveling, that harness is gonna stay on him, and, like, I will take the leash part of the harness off for, like, just sitting in the car, but, like, I have that same fear of I know him, and he will go exploring. He will be like, "Ooh, what's this? I wanna know what this is." Um, he's not He's not very afraid of differing surroundings. The only time he's afraid of differing surroundings is at the vet's office. That's the only time I've seen him cower. And even then, even then he's not really cowering. A lot of times he's just playing Houdini. He's just trying to escape. I've had the vet office complain with me. They're like, "We cannot burrito this cat," and I'm like, "Sorry." I thought that maybe it was me because I'm not a damn professional, and that was the reason I couldn't. They were like, "Yeah, he's escaped from us a few times." I'm like, "I'm sorry, my cat's a bad cat. I I can't fix that. I'm sorry. I've tried."
No.
Yeah, well, Samson was a pretty good hunter when he was an outside cat. But I worry about him because he gets stuck at times. He's got a weird mutation. He actually has 2 claws coming out of each of his thumbs. So he can't fully retract his front claws. And sometimes he'll get stuck on something and can't pull himself free.
Aww.
So I really get worried that he'd get caught like that sometime when there's another animal around that would take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
From when I moved here, I had 2 cats that had been outside cats in New York, and we had a huge park right behind the house, so they had encountered all kinds of animals. But within the first year and a half that I was here, I lost both of them.
Aww.
So apparently the animals around here are a lot more aggressive.
Oof.
And it kind of haunts me because Wapo, I heard him, and from the sounds, I know he was fighting raccoons, but I couldn't find him in time.
Yeah, we have a lot of raccoons around here. Like I said, that's kind of one of my concerns too, is because the raccoons, they don't give a damn. They will, they will, they will come up. They don't even bother trying to hide anymore. They'll just be like, "Oh, hey, I'm in your trash can." Deal.
We have a lot of raccoons, but they're pretty timid.
Yeah, the raccoons around here literally just come around and eat the cat food that neighbors put out, and then they leave.
Yeah, but
So at least they eat the cat food and not the cat.
Yeah.
yeah,
No, they don't mess with any of the cats at all. Like, actually, they get along with the cats. It's very weird. Like they're just
well, the raccoons though, they will gang up, and they will take on cats and dogs that are twice their size if they've got numbers on them.
oh yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
they absolutely can do that, and they're more than capable of it. But around here, I don't know. They're very odd. Like they almost act domesticated. I mean, I've literally had a raccoon brush up against me, like as if it was trying to get me to pet it, and I'm like, I just stood there. I'm like, I'm just going to stand very, very still and wait for you to go away.
Yeah, no, they're not friendly, but they definitely don't care. They're just like, "Hi, bitches, we're here. Guess
Mhm.
what?" Like, I've had a few, like, walk up with my dad at the grill, like, watching it, and my dad was just like, "You know what? I'm just gonna watch and see what this damn thing does." And my dad sat there and watched as a raccoon went up to the grill, grabbed a hot dog off of it, and ran off, with my dad standing there watching.
Oh,
At that point, it's earned it.
yeah.
Right?
My dad was like, "All
Who's
right,
Sure.
if you're not scared and you're willing to put up with the risk, then go for it, little guy."
That's yeah. I guess they'll do that.
Yeah, like, and most of the time people think, "Oh, raccoons, they just sneak around." And I'm sure that's true in a lot of cases, but there's just something about this area where the raccoons are just like, "We own this joint." It just They don't even try to be stealthy. They're just like, we're here, deal.
Wait, we're here. We own it.
Yeah.
Get over it. You're our humans.
Pretty much. I wonder
Yeah.
if the cats have been teaching them tricks or something.
I was fixing
Oh
to say,
dear.
it sounds like cats have been a bad influence on them.
It does, and we have like a crap ton of strays around here. I've been honestly thinking about getting a TNR cage, and like, because you can get up to 6 free TNR neuterings and spanks for free every year.
Yeah.
So I've been thinking of doing a couple of those to try to tone down the area
Oh,
because it's getting
nice.
bad here.
Yeah. Well, see, we have a lot. Like, it looks like we have a lot of strays, but we don't. We have a lot of catch and release. That's what we have around here. So, like, most of the cats around here, they have the little ear.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
seeing the ear tips. Like
Yeah.
I've seen at least 8 new cats in this area without the ear tips.
Oh,
So
no.
yeah, there's somebody around here who's having little orange kitties.
Yeah.
You could ring your property with claymores.
That's
No?
I mean, I do like playing with explosives, but usually speaking, I don't think those things are legal.
Yeah, and
Not for civilians.
unfortunately, we have a lot of kids who race through our yard because our 3 neighbors all around us have children. Now, granted, if the kids were like leaving stuff in the yard and like wrecking my yard, I'd have a problem with it and maybe put the claymores down. But so far, all the little kids have been respectful, so they
Yeah.
can come around my yard and scream their bloody little heads off all they want.
Okay,
don't
we
know.
also have the recently back from the dead Johnny Drive-By stopping in.
Hey,
Hey,
Johnny.
Johnny! Nice weakness.
What's going on, Johnny?
yeah.
Hey, Johnny.
Hi, Sylvia.
Cute.
Yeah, I've got Samuelson across my ankles, but
It's like the
I guess he
Meow
wore
Mix
himself out
commercial.
because he's not even reacting to Sylvia tonight. Usually he does. Usually every time Sylvia says something, he lifts up his head, but
No, Elmer is like racing back and forth between my bed and his favorite box. He'll be wild for about another half an hour before passing out.
yeah, one of Diana's chats about 2 months ago, Sammy-san was trying to have a conversation with Sylvia in Colombia.
Aww.
That's cute.
I love when they do that. It's adorable.
I don't know if Elmer would even try to have a conversation if I had my headphones off, to be honest. He doesn't really seem that interested in other cats. He seems more interested in female humans for some reason, and dogs.
See,
He
my
loves dogs.
oldest cat, Annabelle, she's not interested. She hates other cats. Cannot stand them. She hates animals, period. But she loves men. Like, if I bring a man in this house, she is all up in their business. I'm like, girl, why you gotta be such a hoe? She is a slut.
Elmer has no problem with me smelling like other animals at all. Like, I can love on cats and dogs all day long. He's got no problem. I hug one of my male friends and I come home and he's just like, "What is this bullshit? What is this bullshit?" Like, my dad is basically the only human male he will accept.
Yeah.
When I was living in St. Paul, we had a chow that I used to say was allergic to testosterone. Because She would not let men in the house at all.
Oh.
The only man she ever let into the house was, and I say this in the nicest possible way, a flaming queer.
I can't hear you, Amber.
Can you really say that in a nice way?
Well, he wouldn't have objected to it. He acknowledged it. And the only woman she ever had a problem with was a butch dyke.
Oh, jeez.
You know, so it had to be just she could smell the testosterone level.
I was gonna say, you gotta love cats for being able to pick up on that. Like the subtle nuance of pheromones going on.
Sorry for that interruption. My little sister came in for a split second, and I thought I had the mic muted.
Yeah. See, but now I'm thinking of, like, because of the cat being weird thing, I'm thinking of that meme or that GIF that's, why can't you just be normal? And then the kid in the back seat of the car starts screaming.
I feel
I
like
wonder what the cat would think of me.
My brain has a real stream of consciousness kind of operation, so if my brain thinks of something, that's just where I'm at. It's really annoying and not at all helpful in most situations.
Well, it's like the other day, I was I was in whose live stream was that?
Kitty.
Oh,
Okay,
I was watching YouTube and Maddie went live, and I stopped by to say hi and just see who was there, and him and Evans were doing a thing together and about the abortion ban thing, and somebody said something about Monty Python, and I immediately typed in the chat, "Every sperm is sacred. Every sperm is great.
Oh, I saw
When a
that.
sperm is wasted, God gets going on." That's right, you were there. And everybody, like, the whole conversation completely derailed. Evans and Maddie both turned absolutely apple red and just started laughing their ass off. And they were like, okay, apparently chat is not following the conversation. They are talking about cum.
That was
And now I
the best
think of
derailing
that
ever.
song.
That was one of the best derailings ever.
I thought so. Thank you.
Let the heathen spill theirs on the ground. God will make them pay for the sperm that can't be found. Oh, God, damn it.
I love it so much. But yeah, and then from that point on, I tried to be good, and like Tria is my witness. I tried. Hashtag she rolled with it and kept going. And I'm like, okay, y'all thought I was dirty.
I can be pretty bad when I get going.
I love my fellow dirty people. It's cool.
I would say I haven't seen nothing yet, but you probably have.
I don't know. I'm clear of certain levels, but usually if people are hitting that level, they're purposely trying to make me feel grossed out. Usually. So there is no God bless Mighty Python.
Really
Yeah, that's
No, that is not your end. No.
one of the things that's supporting evidence for me saying that, despite there being a dozen people in the house, I grew up neglected. Because when I was about 9 years old, I was watching Monty Python. And since it was on the PBS station, nobody else paid any attention to what I was watching. Now, a child that age should not have been watching the show alone.
Probably not, but
I did. I watched a lot of things that I wasn't supposed to watch, but
Like
my
mom
dad raised me on horror films, so I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, my mom couldn't have been like, she had to have been preteen when Monty Python was out. I honestly don't know, because I'm a bad son, but
I'm a bad
at least
daughter.
I walk into it. But I mean, and she grew up in a fairly strict Roman Catholic household. She was allowed to watch Monty Python, and my grandma would watch it with her.
Nice.
So clearly, Monty Python didn't cross too many lines, according to religious fanatics.
I
Well,
was gonna say, oddly enough, I know a lot of uber religious people that watched it.
but see, then again, you have to consider the time period. Where the lines are now is a whole lot different from where the lines were in the early 1970s when I was watching it.
This is true.
yeah, because while you guys are sitting there while you're sitting there, Purple, saying, "Oh, I shouldn't have been watching it alone," at least you got to watch it and you didn't have a culture shock when you hit 18 and was like, "Holy shit, what is going on in this world?"
Yeah, there is that. I forget that you were kind of had an isolated upbringing.
Yeah, I was allowed to watch certain Nickelodeon shows and Disney, and that was it. I
Well,
was
see, and this kind of stuff didn't exist when I was growing up. We got 3 regular TV stations and 2 on UHF.
yeah.
Wow.
Well, the thing is that basically the church says you're only allowed to watch PG stuff up until you're 13, and then you're still technically you're allowed kind of to watch PG-13, but not really. Because they're like, oh, well, parents should screen it and make sure that that it's appropriate for the kids, and nobody says goddamn, and just
Okay.
damn near everything has goddamn in it. So it's like you're pretty much stuck with Disney. So yeah.
Well, I mean, you want the real punchline to my mom growing up on Monty Python? The Simpsons got banned in my house because there was a sex scene with Homer and Marge where you saw literally nothing, but my mom watched Monty Python. In the animation, they're naked women with their tits out, and it's like, it's a little hypocritical, don't you think?
Yeah, that happened to me a lot. It was just like, I don't understand. Like, I was allowed to read a book, and I can't remember what book it was, but I know my parents had read it first because they read it and then they gave it to me. And there was a scene, and it wasn't like super graphic, but it was pretty graphic for somebody who hadn't seen a lot of stuff, where they had a human sacrifice in it. And I was allowed to read that and a bunch of god. It was basically a medieval set time period where they worshipped gods instead of having a Christian.
Right. They
Um,
were pagan.
they were pagan, and I was allowed to read the hell out of that and that entire series, but I wasn't allowed to watch or read Harry Potter. Even
Oh my
though I was taking Latin and I knew most of the spells when I finally did get to read it, I knew most of the spells because they were based on Latin. Like I
Right.
had
Yeah.
my mom was so afraid I'd learn the spells, and I'm like, these are just Latin words. Like
Right.
seriously.
Okay.
Not to mention, I mean, what did she think you were gonna do with being able to translate the spells? Does she think they work? Um, just asking.
I mean, a lot of religious people believe that magic is literally real. I got into a argument with an ex-friend of mine about 5 years ago. He's like, well, the Bible talks about witchcraft and wizardry and all that, so it's real.
Oh yeah, I can't count how many Christians I've heard actually believe that just having a Ouija board in your house can summon demons,
Yeah.
even if you never use it.
Yeah.
It will summon
You know,
demons.
that's like putting a toolbox next to my car is going to get to fix itself.
I've had some people claim that. I don't know. I've met. I guess it has to do with like the area that I was raised. I've met a lot of people that lean more toward the opposite side. Like they're very hypocritical, obviously, in their belief, but regardless, it is what it is. But they acknowledge that like magic exists in the Bible, but they don't believe in magic as like a thing. But they believe in Jesus magic, no other form of magic, unless you're Satan. But like they don't really believe in the only things that they believe in, and like for example, the thing that you mentioned with the Ouija board, for example, like they believe in anything that could like possibly summon ghosts or summon the dead or summon Satan or anything like that. Then yeah, they kind of believe in that, and they're not obviously they're not in favor of anything like that. But anything else that you talk about, they're just like, I don't care, whatever. That's not a thing. I'm like, you believe that like wine and bread turns into actual flesh and then you commit cannibalism, but you can't watch Harry Potter. Are you kidding me?
In the Catholic Church, wonderful.
Cannibalism, A-okay.
Yeah.
As long as it's Jesus, but not Harry Potter.
I mean, it's really funny as hell.
I know.
The Catholic Church is it's just so spectacular. Like,
I went to Catholic school for 8 years. That was fun.
is she really quiet for anyone else? Because I'm having trouble hearing.
Who, what, where?
Hey,
How about now?
Silver's a little quiet. Like everyone else is a good volume. I'm just having trouble hearing her.
How about now?
There you go.
You're 5x5. Or she's 5x5, whatever.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes, much better. Thank you.
Yeah, that's better.
I was leaned like way back in the couch, so that was probably having a lot to do with it. But no, I went to Catholic school for like 8 years. Yeah. So I had to attend mass on Wednesdays and Fridays, and then every Sunday I got to go to Southern Baptist Bible school, and then the actual sermon. That was super interesting. Oh, and then my brother converted to Islam when I was 10. So I had a very interesting religious upbringing.
sounds like it. I'm pretty far back.
It's just interesting because, like, in my family, I was the first Catholic that actually took it really seriously.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, like, I grew up thinking, okay, abortion, who gives a fuck? You know, because my mother raised me to be like, okay, it's not my body, it's not my choice. Then she and my dad shoved me into the Catholic Church because I'm starting to dabble in the idea of, you know, not being Catholic anymore or believing in God anymore. And they're like, well, you're not having any of that shit. So they send me to my church's youth group. and I come out this conservative douchebag, that guy of religion.
Yeah.
And that cat is protesting very loud.
That is protesting. Oh, that's so cute.
Doc Fearson says it's bad luck to believe in superstitions.
See, I used to be pagan. As weird as my religious background was, yeah, I didn't believe in any of that crap. I gave it up I stopped going to church when I was 13. And anyway, but yeah, I was pagan my entire adult life up until pretty recent, actually, like a couple years ago.
Well, we've got similar lines then. I gave up Christianity when I was 14, and I was pagan for about 25 years. And, it's really only been about the last 4 years that actually, it's only been the last 2 years that I've actually used the word atheist, but about the last 4 years that I was just kind of like, yeah, none of it's real.
Nice. Yeah, we definitely do have very similar backgrounds.
I never was a theist, so
lucky.
Right.
Well, and that's looking back on it, I realized I don't think I ever, I never strongly believed in anything. It's always like I was kind of, well, this is possible, but yeah.
Right. There was a time that I definitely, I'm trying to think. Yeah, I mean, it may have been brief, but there was definitely a time that I for sure believed in like the branch of paganism that I believed in, but and legit thought that like everything was real. But then like as time went on, I don't know. I just kind of accepted like I still called myself pagan. I still associated with everything, but I didn't really, like you said, like I didn't really take any of it to heart.
Yeah, I
And
never
now,
really identified with any particular tradition, but I spent most of the time trying to work out some way to reconcile it with science. To at least have some theory that, okay, if we have an 11-dimensional universe, is it possible that energy leaking from other dimensions can have some effect and all that kind of weird stuff?
I was totally in the same shit. Yep.
I was dumb. I bought the whole thing hook, line, and sinker the entire time.
Well, you weren't dumb. You just got indoctrinated from birth.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that is true. Although it's kind of funny, the things that kind of broke my faith. A lot of people are like, "Oh, I was lied to," and I get that that's like something that is legit. It's legit, but for me, it was just seeing how people treated other people, and my religion was what broke me.
Oh yeah. That's honestly, as a child, that's one of the many things that broke me. Like that's why I stopped going to church. And when I stopped going to church, I was no longer allowed to stay the night with my grandmother. Who was like basically she was more of a mother to me than my actual mother. But that was like her rule was if you don't go to church, you can't spend the weekend here. So I could spend any other night with her, but just not weekends. And I was just like, okay. So I never again stayed with her. And it caused some issues. But I was just like, I can't, like, I refuse. I'm not going to deal with this whenever there's hypocrites literally everywhere around me.
Yeah.
Like, you preach kindness, you preach forgiveness, you preach love, and yet you practice absolutely none of it. all I heard in church was how much we are supposed to hate gay people and how much we hate these people and how much we hate those people. And I was so sick of it.
I think my mom, if she were alive, would probably be pretty upset with me for saying this, but she and my stepmom were the biggest reasons that I started to even they weren't the reason I left, but they were the reason why I started looking at things and thinking this is bullshit. My there was sometime between like the end of my senior year, like it started sometime probably at the very tail end of senior year into summer. They pissed my mom off so badly that my mom canceled my sister and I going to a lot of like church events and actually started taking us to places like Disney because they had pissed her off that badly. Like
Wow.
excluding my sister and then like trying to include her but not really. You know, there was a point where they told my sister and I that if we didn't like the way something was being run, we could be in service to others since we couldn't participate. I'm like, so you're telling me my disabled sister is supposed to be a servant for the ableds? Right. I'm going to my mom with that. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, and just like that was not the official breaking point for me, but that was like the very, very start of being like, I'm not sure that this is a situation I really want to be in. In fact, there were the popular thing when I was when I was graduating high school was to send everybody on pioneer treks where you dressed up like pioneers and you actually walked like they would have. It was supposed to be a faith affirming experience. And I was like, so what about my sister and her friends? Like, what are they gonna do? And they're like, oh yeah, they're included. They can't do the trek, but they can cook in the kitchens and do this and that.
Wow.
And I was just
Okay,
like,
then.
do you not hear yourself? So I went to my mom. She's like, screw that. You're not going on trek. We're going to Disney. And she packed my sister and I up the day of. I had two of my friends from high school come with us. And she packed us all in the car. And she was not an early riser, but she got us up at like 6 o'clock because she knew that people at the church were leaving around 7-ish. She drove by the church while everybody was packing up for trek, rolled down the windows, turned her volume up on whatever we were listening to at the time, and said, wave at everybody as we go by.
What? Oh my god.
She was just like, wave at them as we go by. And they were going down to Orlando too. Like the trek area was down in Orlando. So right as they were packing up, we actually passed them a few times down on the way to Orlando. And every time she saw a car she recognized, she honked at them, rolled down the windows, was like, wave. And then she said, when y'all get back to church on Sunday, I want you guys to talk about how great Disney was, okay?
That sounds glorious.
Oh my goodness.
That's a definite act of defiance.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff that led up to that, but that was like the final straw for her. She's like, no, we're all going to Disney. I'm packing up my family. We're all going down to Disney. We're gonna have a good time while everybody is at Trek. And it was basically her version of fuck you. Like she never stopped believing, but that was just her point of like, no, I'm not putting up with your bull anymore.
I apparently hated church and Sunday school so much that my mom just stopped bothering taking me. But she's like part of the United Church, and they currently have an atheist like preacher, so that just tells you what level of religiousness they have.
Oh wow.
Wait a minute. How can you even be an atheist preacher?
I don't know, but there's apparently one in one of the churches in Toronto.
Okay, how do you pull that off?
Apparently, she just doesn't talk about. She only talks about the love and acceptance stuff, and just avoids talking about God from the Bible. So I don't know. I honestly don't know. I just know she exists.
Basically, do a UU church. I attended one for a few years, and yeah, the preacher was essentially an atheist preacher.
That sounds kind of like I think they're called Universalists or something like that.
Yeah, that's where Unitarian Universalists.
Yeah, the Unitarian.
Well, they
I had a pagan event at
I quit going because they were too cliquish for me.
Yeah, like, no, the United Church is one of the few denominations that I would actually endorse. Like they, in the Pride Parade in my city, they're pretty much at the front just to make the point. So they're pretty cool.
Actually, when I was in Minneapolis, I was in a pagan group called CUPS, which was a coven of Universalist Unitarian pagans. So they were a branch of the Universalist Unitarian Society in Minneapolis.
Okay.
Of course, now I'm thinking of that Anna Kendrick song from Pitch Perfect. I told you, my brain works on stream of consciousness. Literally anything will set me off. Totally different thing.
I can completely relate to that. You know, my brain will randomly jump tracks at a keyword.
Yeah, mine too.
Amazing, isn't it?
Amazing. Amazing.
It's simply amazing.
Oh.
I've often told people that I have true random access memory. You ask me a question, I will give you an answer. However, I do not guarantee or in any way say that the answer will be in any way related to the question you asked.
There you go.
I have a question. I have an answer. You may not like it.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I want to screw with people, I just spout out the answer before they've had a chance to ask the question.
There you go.
How often are you right?
That pretty much goes along with how well I know the person.
That's fair. Because I mean, I can.
Right.
I can see like if you're just spouting it off, it's not as annoying. But if it's like I didn't even get to ask the question, damn it.
It's a great way to annoy most of my family.
Yeah, that's what I was figuring.
I enjoy annoying people.
I had a great way of annoying my family. Breathing.
That's sad. The only person I'm able to properly annoy is my little sister. But she's starting to learn how to fight back, which is kind of amusing.
I can't wait until my nephew learns to speak sarcasm. I'm just living for the day.
I mean, I literally have my Twitter display name for the sole purpose of annoying gatekeepers. So.
Deconverted Man is asking, why do we have keywords but not lock words? It's a good point.
I don't know.
Gatekeepers are people who try to police who can and cannot be in a particular group. And while I agree with certain forms of gatekeeping, aka keeping out dangerous people from a group, like murderers, rapists, etc., a lot of people are like, "Oh, you're not queer enough," or "Oh, you're not this enough," or "Oh, you're not this enough," trying to just basically decide who gets to be in and who gets to be out.
Yeah, it's my Twitter name is Megan, the gayest spirit lesbian, and it's solely to annoy people who don't think that trans women can be lesbians.
Ugh.
So
Guess what, people?
Yeah, I didn't even pay much attention to that because you're not the first one I've met.
well, I mean, it's just a small group of people who think that.
Yeah, but they're pretty damn loud, which sucks.
They are, so I just go out of my way to annoy them.
Yeah. I know that not all people are ace exclusionists, but enough of them are that I don't often feel welcome in spaces I probably should feel a little more welcome in.
Yeah, that's annoying.
Yeah, so that's why I said there are certain forms of gatekeeping which I agree with. Like I said, keeping dangerous predators out, but beyond that, there should be no other gatekeeping.
Well, I've been around long enough to really see the LGBT community evolve, and it pisses me off that there continue to be fringe groups that they're either not accepting or they're poking jokes at. Because I got involved back in the early '80s when it was just the gay movement, and they were debating whether or not bisexuals even existed.
Yeah, some people still are, unfortunately.
Yep, I'm bi, but I just really prefer women a lot more, and I'm maybe in a relationship. We don't know where we are yet, so that's.
Yeah.
But
I've seen people still debate whether bisexuals and pansexuals exist. I've
Yeah.
seen people debate whether or not aces exist. I've seen people debate whether or not non-binaries exist. And it's just like,
that
do
too.
you people fucking hear
Yeah. Well,
yourselves?
it's
Yeah.
not as common anymore,
Well, okay, True Scum really hate me.
but I can't count how many times I've had gay men tell me, "You're really gay, you just don't have the guts to admit it." And it's like, no, I enjoy men, I enjoy women. I enjoy cross-dressers, I enjoy transsexuals. I pretty much enjoy anyone who's willing to have some fun with me.
Yeah,
So that was before pansexual even was a word, but when they're telling me that I really only like men and I've been living with a woman for 10 years, it's kind of hard to understand that.
yeah. I just say I like V and I like the V and whatever else I don't care about.
Yeah. It's just like I said, it's just frustrating because it's basically leaving people out who we shouldn't be leaving out in the name of protecting ourselves. And while I understand to a certain degree wanting to protect ourselves, it should not be at the expense of people who really need the outreach and the support.
Well, and if nothing else, as a matter of self-interest, as a minority group, anyone who's willing to be an ally, you should at least consider. And if they're not doing something totally revolting, you should invite them in.
Well, here's the thing. I'm actually welcome in my LGBTQ area as an ally if I shut up and don't ask for my own stuff. Because I'm considered cishet even though I'm not even remotely heterosexual. And when they talk about things, let's say for instance, they talk about comprehensive sex education. If you leave out the fact that some people really are sex repulsed and not everybody likes sex and not everybody needs sex, you're going to have people like me who are going to wonder what's broken with them and go and try to correct their orientation So, but I can show up, and if I go, hey, comprehensive sex education, I'm on board with that as an ally, they accept me. But if I say, I'd really like for us to also include, hey, some people really don't like sex and it's actually mentally unhealthy for them, I'm told to shut up, turbo virgin, and go home.
That's
Virgin.
like, why?
Yeah. Yeah, and I know that that's not every single LGBTQ group, and I know that that's not every area, but my area is insanely
Prevalent.
acephobic and aerophobic.
That's, I don't know. I just can't think like that. I don't get it.
And like I said, I understand where it's coming from to a certain degree. They want to protect from the people who come in and go, well, what about me? And it's not really about them. Because I've seen that happen too. I've seen lots of conversations get hijacked by people who are not actually a part of that conversation. And so I understand where it comes from. The problem is that, you basically have thrown people out in the name of keeping yourself defended when really we should be all trying to work for the same thing or
Yeah,
similar things.
yeah, exactly. We all have our own stuff, and we're stronger together than apart. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And see, that's my thing, is like we should be working together and not ripping each other apart, because ripping each other apart makes it easier for those who do want us actually hurt to come in and pull their stunts.
Yeah, and yeah, there's a lot of there's a lot of people who don't like non-binary people like me either. So I
Yeah.
get a lot. I get a lot of I actually had to subscribe to a turf blocker Twitter block list just because I posted one thing they really didn't like. So
Oh
I was
no.
worried
And
that
then
they
they
were going to mass
dogpiled.
report me. Like
Yeah.
I don't care if they're coming at me. I will argue with them until our fingers fall off and our keyboards break. But I was worried about getting mass reported by them, and just losing my
Yeah.
Twitter. So I had to
I
put a
came
stop
in
to
at a
that.
weird point. I'm sorry. I apologize. I don't know if anybody saw the side chat. I didn't want to interrupt you guys, but I accidentally woke up my brother, so I had to go deal with my cat and then deal with my brother. And anyway, move my station. May, did you say that you're non-binary?
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I heard that right.
I hate that you can't even say stuff on Twitter without feeling the
Right,
fear
without
of
people.
being mad. I
It
can't tell
shouldn't
you
be
how
that
upset that
way.
makes
Like,
me.
why? Why
Yeah.
do people
Yeah.
care? Unless it affects you, why do you give a fuck?
Well,
You know?
That's
I mean,
kind of
I
a dangerous road to walk
understand.
on.
if you've seen my Twitter, I am a little
Edgy.
outraged. Not so much edgy, but I'm kind of like outrageous.
Hey, I'm outrageous. It's okay.
So like I rarely say anything that gets me any legitimate hate, but I am very open about being non-binary, and just some people don't like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, see, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, though. Just like there's nothing wrong with being openly trans, openly gay. There's nothing wrong with being openly non-binary either. So, I
Yeah.
mean, if
Yeah.
people don't like it, they can eat a dick. I don't
Well,
know what to tell you.
Actually, that's something that's something that I post about three or four times a day. If you don't like it, you can suck my non-binary.
Yeah, I was going to say, if anyone's interested, I will provide the appendix.
Of course.
No, I have my own, and it's glorious.
How kind of you.
and that's what the turfs don't like.
Oh.
Well,
Jeez. Hey, I don't think I'm following you, May. What's your Twitter handle?
It's May Griffin 64.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to go find you.
Wait. Meg Griffin, or is there a pun there, or?
Dude, seriously. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Just like May Griffin 64. It's just at May Griffin 64. And if you look at my bio, you can pretty much see everything that you need to see right there.
Oh, I found you.
Yeah,
I
it was
followed
pretty
you.
easy. I just typed in May, and you were actually the first one to pop up. Now that may
I love your name.
I
Oh my
follow.
god.
Okay, I was
You're
just
gay,
wondering what
you're
the
lesbian.
64 stands for.
You said, or no, that's Griffin May. That's not the same.
No, May Griffin 64.
Okay, why 64?
Okay, so I used to play Magic the Gathering, and I had a deck where I just had a combo and I did infinite damage, and for whatever reason I chose 64 billion to be the number of damage that I do to people because it's an absurd number. So it just 64 just kind of stuck as my number forever.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So
Okay, now I'm disappointed.
I need to tweet more so
I'm
I can get
not.
followers.
oh
I was hoping that your first computer was a Commodore.
no, my mom had a big 20 when I was born.
Commodores.
And I did have I actually had Commodore 64 might have actually been my first computer. That was actually mine.
I started out with a Commodore 64 with the tape drive. And in 1982, everybody laughed at me when I said that by the time my kids were old enough, computers would be as common as TV sets. Nobody believed me.
Really?
Futurists think not.
It was in the 90s, but the Commodore 64 was my first computer. That's actually true.
I don't remember what my first computer was. I remember that it was already old when we got it, and I busted it late one night. I don't know how, but I think it was because it was on its final leg when we got it in the first place. Back in the 6th grade. And it just died halfway through a 20-page project, and I didn't save it like I should have, no, I didn't print it out like I should have, and it died the night before, right as I was printing it out. So I had to type a 20-page report on a typewriter.
Oh.
To turn in the next day. That was an experience. Yeah, I was sleeping through the school day most of the day. And my teacher was like, normally I'd fail you because this was a project that I had plenty of time on. But she's like, I could tell you wrote this on a typewriter. So I'm going to give you a B.
That's so cute.
For not asking for an extension, because she was a no extensions kind of teacher. She was like, look, unless you were dying and you have a parental note that says you were dying, no extensions.
Wait, nope, not happening.
Yeah, my first printer, because the dot matrix printers of the time were such poor quality that I couldn't get away with doing any business stuff on them. So my first printer was actually a daisy wheel typewriter that had an interface cartridge.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah, so whenever somebody teases me and they're like, oh, well, you don't know what it was like to type on a typewriter, I'm like, yes, I do. I did a 20-page report in one night on that sucker.
Yeah, but I'll bet you at least had an electric typewriter. I learned to type on a manual.
It was a manual. It was my mother's old typewriter from when she was in high school.
Oh, wow.
It's the only thing we had.
Okay, yeah. People have no idea how hard you had to hit the keys.
Yeah, it's difficult. My friend had a typewriter that I used just for funsies. Like, I never had to write a school project on there, but
Yeah, well, all through my school up until about grade 10. Yeah, up until about grade 10, everything was written, so I didn't even have the option for a typewriter.
No,
And no one could read my writing.
this one we weren't allowed to do as a written. And my teacher also offered time in class. Like if you didn't have a computer at home, you could sit in class and
Mhm.
work on the project.
Yeah,
So I
that's
mean,
what we
it
got
was
too.
basically a, you know, this is going to be typed or on a computer or on a type or whatever. You have plenty of opportunities. I'm going to give you the opportunities to do this in class. It's just back then, I was such a major procrastinator. I was like, all right, well, I don't have to print it up until the night before. And so I went to print it up like literally 10 minutes before bedtime.
Oh no.
Nice.
See, I'm
So,
really bad at procrastinating too, so
yeah,
I can't say anything.
I don't do
Yep.
that. I won't procrastinate in every other aspect, but if I'm in school and I'm doing like online classes, my project will be finished 3 days before it's due.
Well, see, as much as I don't know, I hate it, but I don't know, it's just one of those things. I am the way I am, but I I procrastinate like nobody's fucking business. But and I can't stand I hate pressure. But I do better. I just do. Whether it's school, life, it doesn't matter what, like, just in general. I perform better under pressure, even though it gives me horrible panic attacks and like I feel like I'm dying and suffocating. I always do a great job. So I still procrastinate.
Yeah.
It's a very weird catch 22 that sucks.
Yeah. Well, for me, like I said, in everything else, I will procrastinate, but if it comes to schoolwork, and I guess it's just because of that lived experience, where it's
Hmm.
like, I'm not going to be begging my professor for an extension 10 minutes before it's due because they probably get annoyed with that. So I'm going to make sure that it's ready 3 days before. And if something happens with my computer, then I at least have time to go up to the university,
Right.
use their computers and get it turned in that way. Or if I still struggle, I can at least go and meet my professor at office hours and be like, look, I cannot turn it in electronically. Here's
Right.
why. Here's my work.
Yeah,
Yeah, you can work something out.
Yeah.
I put everything on. I do pretty much everything on Google Docs now. There's like one thing that I do in Excel because Excel does it better, but everything I do is pretty much on Docs now.
I don't know whether or not Google Docs is accepted at the college right now or not. It most likely is, but I haven't tried going back to school
Mm.
in about
Oh,
7 years.
well, you can export stuff as like whatever type of text file you want. So I usually just export it
Ah,
into RTF or whatever they want. So, but like it's on your Google Docs, like it's on the cloud, so you don't have to worry about losing data or anything. You just go log on to any computer and print it or email it or whatever, and that really works. And
okay.
that's why I use it.
Yeah, I probably should be using that more then. Um, but I haven't tried going back to school in about 7 years, mainly because I'm not really necessarily interested in a degree, but I do like taking classes from time to time just because I'm weird and I like being in school.
You like learning.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I kind of like that
Yeah,
too.
same.
But
Oh
I'm
God,
from
that's
school.
not weird. I mean, if I could
No.
afford to, I'd
Oh,
be a professional student.
me too.
Yeah, exactly.
See,
I
and that's the
still want to
thing,
go back to school for my
and
psychology degree to go. Yeah, degree though.
the degrees that I want though are not money makers. Like you cannot make money off of what you do usually speaking. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, they've changed it now, but it used to be called food anthropology, and it was basically like, how does culture affect food and how does food affect
Oh
culture?
yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But there's no money in it.
Right.
There's absolutely no money in it unless you can be like one of those people who can write books and like do a TV show or a travel
Mm-hmm.
blog or something like that. And
Yeah.
I'm not really good at that aspect of it.
Mm.
Like I like the learning part of it and I can make a recipe, but as far as like marketing myself, I'm not good enough to market myself to be able to pull off making money.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a bunch of stuff I'd learned just because I'm interested in it.
Same.
So yeah.
I want to take a Chinese course, but they're hard to get into here. Like the
Mm.
Chinese courses fill up 2 years in advance.
Jesus.
Whoa.
I want to take a Japanese course.
Yeah, I'd learn Japanese. I'd learn. I really should learn French.
I used to know French. I forgot it all.
Uh, I know a few words here and there. I mean,
Yeah.
like I'm Canadian, okay?
Yeah.
You pick it up. Um, so, but other than that, like, unfortunately, I really have no use for it, and like, no one I interact with on a regular basis speaks French. So, yeah, it's something I would need to practice regularly to be fluent in, and I just don't have the opportunity. So
Right.
Yeah, well, the thing with auditing, unfortunately, is it costs damn near about the same. And that's probably another issue with that with Perp is he's trying desperately to get out of where he's at. And if he goes to college, that ain't gonna happen.
yeah,
Sorry,
Well,
Perp.
and going to college isn't a choice here because, again, it's an hour drive to the nearest branch of a community college.
oh
Wow.
Mm.
Ouch.
yeah, we have a couple of decently known internationally like good colleges here. So or one college and one university. So yeah,
For me, as easy as it is to get to a college, I still prefer doing distance learning because with my sleep being as erratic as it's been lately, and with the fact that I have to be available whenever doctor's appointments are available for my sister, it's
Mm-hmm.
just better and easier for me to have the distance courses,
That makes
even though I
sense.
do prefer lectures. But the advantage to that is if I want to work on my homework at 3 o'clock in the morning, I don't have to worry about whether or not I'm getting enough sleep before I have to show up for a lecture.
yeah. Oh, I
Yeah.
mean, a lot of this stuff that I want to take has a lot of like hands-on stuff, like computer engineering and stuff. So there would be so I would have to like go there anyways. I wouldn't just be able to take random courses,
Yeah.
like online or anything. But like you don't really have to go to the lectures either, even though they can be good. Like yeah, I could go to the local college or university and just sit in on lectures and just learn through that if I really wanted to, because they have no way of telling whether you're actually a student. They don't vet anything like that.
Yeah, I've sat in
That
on a
would be
few
awesome.
classes. It depends on class size too. Like the local university, they'd catch on or the local community college, they'd catch on pretty quick that I wasn't actually a student. But say like at one of our bigger universities, like I think UF, I could probably sneak into a class at UF and nobody would be the wiser because those class sizes are around 400 students.
Yeah,
Uh,
well, that's one of the
Wow.
reasons I want to get back to Minnesota is because something few people realize is that if it's a state-funded university, they actually have to make things accessible to the general public. So I spent a lot of time in the specialized libraries learning everything from human psychology to constructing geodesic domes.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it is here.
Without a student ID, I couldn't check anything out, but I could sit in the library all day and use all the materials.
Yep. That's pretty much how it is here.
That's an interesting bit of information.
Yeah.
I live within like spitting distance of 3 major universities, so
Yeah, ours are both on the outskirts.
Yeah, if they get any taxpayer funding, you can probably walk into the buildings and use most of the resources.
Yep.
I live in a town with a lot of colleges. We have 10 colleges, I think.
Wow.
Holy. Oh, okay, we only have like 80,000 people in Peterborough, so.
I live in a city, and I live in the biggest city in the United States as far as landmass goes. Maybe not population, but landmass, and we have about 800 million people here.
Okay.
Whoa.
Yeah. People outside of Florida don't really know that much about Jacksonville, but Jacksonville is actually one of the biggest. I think it's the biggest city.
Oh, I've been to Jacksonville a lot,
Landmass.
actually.
As far as landmass, it is, I think, the biggest city in the continental United States. It is not the biggest city population-wise, but
Isn't Alaska all one city? Like the entire city?
I think Alaska is all one city, to be fair. Like,
Well, the city of Denver is an entire county into itself, so I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Alaska literally has to pay people to stick around, so can you really?
Actually, we were told that. We were told when I thought I might want to be a teacher. We were told it was like, hey, if you can stand the cold, they will pay you good money to be a teacher in Alaska.
Yes,
Really?
it is true that each resident of Alaska gets something like $6,000 a year from the state, just as being their percentage of the proceeds from natural resources.
Wow.
Well, it is really expensive to live up north, though. So
Yeah.
Like prices for simple things like produce and dairy are just like.
Well, yeah, I'm sure any fresh food has to be brought in from such a long distance.
Exactly. It's kind of a problem in some of the more northern areas of Canada too. So, like,
I can't stand the cold. Like I'm always claiming that like I'd love to live in Canada, but like it's too damn cold. Like I
go to
can't
Vancouver.
can't do it.
I've never lived any further south than Chicago, so I mean, if it had ever been an option, I'd be in Canada by now. Excuse me.
I live near Toronto, so yeah.
See, I would
We have
prefer
our
the
little weather
cold
pattern.
to the heat. You can layer up as much as you have to if it's cold, but if you layer down too far, it's a criminal charge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Hormones are changing that. Now I don't like the hot or the cold.
I live in Alberta just because I want to have a season pass to the Royal Tyrrell Museum.
Okay. Well,
They're
Alberta's
supposed
kind
to
of
have the
like-
largest collection of mounted dinosaur fossils anywhere in the world.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Yeah, the Alberta has a lot of fossils. Unfortunately, Alberta is also kind of like the Canadian version of Texas.
Oh no.
So, yeah, they're like super conservative out there. But
Everything bigger in Alberta.
yeah. Hey, they
I
have.
really
They have,
wasn't
like,
aware of that, the political climate there.
no, it's the one place that's like super conservative. So yeah, that's the only. There's. It's not like a super conservative state in the States. It's there's a lot more liberal people, but it's generally more conservative, especially in the government. So or like the provincial government.
I mean, is that compared to, U.S. conservatism, or when it comes to conservative, the U.S. has most of the world beat?
They're like conservative light. They're like U.S. conservative light.
Okay, so like American Democrats.
Right.
Yeah, I guess like we don't seem to go to the nearly to the extremes people in the U.S. go to.
Yeah, our
going either way.
Well, and I keep
Republican
hearing
light
people
without the racism. Like
racism is you're gonna find that anywhere, but it's also something that isn't nearly as much of an issue here. So.
Yeah.
I keep hearing the people from England saying that the U.S. doesn't go nearly to the extremes that people there do. So that kind of worries me about what their extreme political parties are.
Yeah, well, yeah. Like our conservatives are starting to be a little bit like your conservatives, but they're still not nearly as bad. But on the other hand, if you think that your like system is entertaining right now, you should like watch a session of Parliament. It's like the most vicious, nasty, bloodthirsty stuff ever.
It's really entertaining.
Yeah. Wait, do you mean the Canadian Parliament or the British Parliament?
Or the Australian Parliament? Any of them. Parliament is vicious.
Yeah. Just the way that they conduct it. It's hilarious.
You have like, in Canada, you have 3 different parties. And they're all like completely against each other almost, except for when they don't like what one party's doing, then they're all against, then 2 of them are against that party.
Okay.
And yeah.
That's called building a coalition.
Yes, we have had coalition governments, or we've had a coalition against a minority government, and basically they'll help hold the minority government hostage. And yeah, that's actually probably the best government you can have, is just a minority government with basically a coalition holding them hostage. Because then nothing bad gets done, because the other party would be afraid of losing, like having a bill fail, and then a vote of no confidence can be called, which would mean an election is called, and that's just bad for the. It's just bad for the party. You see, that's you guys in the States need a proper parliament, because Trump wouldn't have lasted like 3 months with a proper parliament.
Yeah. This is true.
And it wouldn't be too much different, because your electoral college is basically like our parliament. The only difference is that, like, they stick around, right? They stick around and they have an equal voice to, like, my MP, who's part of the Liberal Party, has the same amount of power in Parliament as Trudeau, the Prime Minister. Sure, Trudeau has a lot of influence, but when it comes down to it, he still only has 1 vote, and all the other MPs have 1 vote. So it really keeps everything in check, especially when you have a minority government. You can't really do a lot of nefarious things, and there's no executive actions where you can just say, no, we're doing it anyways. So yeah, it's definitely, and it's more entertaining, to be fair. Because you can go and sit and watch it happen, and it's pretty much blood sports.
I wouldn't call what's going on right now entertaining, but
no,
we have a literal toddler for a president that keeps having temper tantrums.
I mean,
okay, now let's not be mean to toddlers here.
Yeah,
that's true. My 3-year-old niece does a better job at containing herself than Trump does. So
I've been saying from the start that the reason he's in there and the reason nothing gets done about him is because the Republicans put a clown in office so that everybody's watching the sideshow and nobody's paying attention to what Congress is doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Um,
It's the dancing bear situation.
my opinion on that is that Trump is just a scapegoat for Pence. Like everyone's looking at Trump, but all I see from all but the most rational people, like on Twitter and stuff, is Trump is terrible. Trump is terrible. Trump, and nobody is looking at Pence. I've even said, well, Trump is bad, but like all this shit's coming from Pence. No, it's Trump, and it's like, no, you're literally like, Trump is a scapegoat for Pence.
Well, see, there's no good win here because, okay, before everyone just thought Trump was crazy, but now it's looking like my prediction is actually true, which is that I've always said that Trump was, that he had Alzheimer's or some form of dementia. His father had early onset dementia, and they hid it, and it came out later in life. And but anyway, Trump has all of the signs and symptoms of it. And if you go back and you watch footage of him in the 90s, he was just as egotistical, narcissistic. He has the same personality disorders, yes, but he is well-spoken. He is articulate. He actually sounds intelligent. His vocabulary is robust. If you look at him now, none of those things apply at all, except for the narcissist part.
Okay.
So there's this very big difference. And then if comparing Pence and Trump as far as like their positions and beliefs and whatnot, Trump doesn't care, okay? Like, Trump has no true alliance to anything. His only alliance is to money and power and status. That's all he cares about. Pence, the scary thing is he believes in all the crap Trump claims to believe in, only Pence is a legit theocrat.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why I said
and he
there's
has
no
political
winning.
capital to spend.
Right. So
Pence is
there's
a
no
younger
winning in
extremist,
this
isn't he?
situation. Either you have a literal madman who is delusional with probably multiple personality disorders, not saying he has DID, saying he has many disorders. Anyway, a man that's literally a madman and probably very, very ill with actual dementia, running the White House and running around with the nuke codes. Like, that's not good for anyone.
Yeah.
And then we have a fucking theocrat.
Well, I think the reason the Democrats haven't done anything about Trump is because Trump is incompetent, which is far less dangerous than Pence, who is, for lack of a better term, outright evil.
Yeah. I'll agree
think,
with that.
I think far more would get done. I'm not saying that Trump isn't doing a serious amount of damage, but I think because Pence knows how to play the system, I think far more would get done if Pence got control of the White House.
Yeah, Pence would be able to get more through the Congress because he knows how to make the deals.
Yeah. Well, I want to use our last prime minister as an example of why Trump isn't quite as bad as someone like Pence. So our last prime minister was Stephen Harper. And I mean, like, he's not really charismatic or anything, but he's a very he was a very competent politician, and he was a very sneaky politician, right? So there's a lot of stuff that he tried to get through and almost did, and it was only caught like on the day of the vote in Parliament. And he almost got away with it, like having huge bills that just cover a whole bunch of stuff and then sneaking one or two little things into it that have nothing to do with the bill that he wants to be put through. So he was extremely politically savvy, and like he actually has done a lot more damage than someone like, say, Doug Ford, who is unfortunately our premier, is doing in Ontario. Well, maybe not quite in the same way, but he did a lot of damage, and he was dishonest, but you couldn't tell he was dishonest unless you knew what you're talking about, because he was extremely he knew what he was doing, and we had to deal with that shit for 3 terms. So
Yeah.
that's like, it could be worse than Trump.
Oh,
You could have someone like Harper as your president, and you'd think he's like, a little bit better than George Bush or some shit like that, senior or junior, whatever one is better, I don't know. But in reality, he's doing stuff that, like, he knows what he's doing. He's sneaking stuff that nobody even knows about. So Trump being incompetent is not necessarily the most terrible thing, because he doesn't know how to, sneak stuff through. Now your system's a little bit different from ours, so you don't necessarily need to sneak stuff through. But there's a lot of stuff that, you don't hear about that Harper did. So
Yeah, and like, I'm never one to say, oh, better than whomever is in office. That, anybody is better than whomever is in office, because I realize that as an American, we can always go worse.
Yeah.
And that's the sad part, is we
It
can
is.
always go worse.
Well, and Trump is proof of that, because
Oh yeah.
when Bush Jr. was in office,
He was the worst.
no one believed that we could go lower than that.
Yep.
yeah.
And
Well-
Trump dumpster dive by comparison.
He keeps saying, I laugh all the time, because he's always saying that he's always breaking historical records, but he always claims that he's doing it in the best ways. And I'm like, no, sweetheart, you got that backwards. Yes, you're always breaking historical records by making new lows. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also tend not to trust somebody who every 5 minutes has to say, I'm the smartest person, you should trust me.
Who says that? And who says I'm a brilliant genius?
Somebody who realizes that they are that dumb and has to try to keep convincing themselves.
I mean,
That's
like,
who said that.
if like your drunk uncle showed up to Thanksgiving and was like, I'm a sane genius, you would be like, should we call the hospital? I mean, like, that would be a conversation going on. Like, somebody would be like, should we legit commit him?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on right now? Is this for real? Is this a joke? Uncle Dave, you okay? Like,
Unfortunately, on the thing I said before about the distractions, Sloth Girl made a very good point that now everybody's ranting about the abortion laws.
yeah.
When was the last time you heard anybody mention about what's in the Mueller report since it finally got released?
Actually, today, but only because I listen to progressive shows and shit. Like,
Yeah, I haven't heard a whole lot about that.
but
And there's also another thing where, like homeless shelters can, like, turn down trans people. That's pretty disgusting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, that's not new. That's unfortunately, that's been a thing. That's one reason that I refuse to donate to the Salvation Army. Because they're transphobes and they're anti-LGBT and they're anti-everything else under the world.
Yeah, actually, our government shut down a homeless shelter for women because the BC government did, because they wouldn't accept trans people. So, like, no, you're not getting any more funding.
Nice.
Yeah, Atheist Edge just said Trump is the textbook personification of the Dunning-Kruger effect.
Yep.
Oh
It
yeah,
kind of is.
absolutely, 100%. I can't stand that, man. What confuses me is I understand everything else. Like, no matter how crazy and ridiculous it all is, on some level, politically, whatever, I get it, but I don't understand why almost every Republican is so fucking afraid of him. Like,
I
what
don't
is
know.
wrong with you? Grow some goddamn balls, walk up to the man, tell him he's a piece of shit, and say no.
I don't know. Maybe he has some dirt under the party or something.
I don't think they're really afraid of him. I think it suits their purpose to keep him in office because, like I say, no one's paying attention to the Congress.
Well, I'm
Hey,
talking
part of
about
it is
people that
that.
actually look afraid. like, did you see the press conference that he had today about how he wasn't triggered and how he didn't have a temper tantrum, even though it was filmed at his request, by the way? But like, his temper tantrum is on camera. You can see it. But he has all of his lackeys and all of these people in Congress on the Republican side literally stand up, get in front of a camera, and say, "How did I act? Was I calm in that meeting? How was I acting in that meeting? You tell them." And they're like, "Yes, Mr. President. Yes, you were very calm, Mr. President. Of course, Mr. President. Yes, you were calm like you always are, Mr. President." Like, it was insane. It was insane.
I'm not 100% sure that Trump is the only factor in that. And this is why a lot of these things that are coming out now are being backed by groups with money.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
And
hell.
it may not necessarily be just Trump and the money involved. It may be other organizations who back Trump.
Oh, yeah.
They
I'm
know that they lose
100%
the money
behind
the moment that they get out of line with Trump.
I still think that my theory that they're just using him as a scapegoat so that like they can get away with really bad stuff and just put it all on Trump is what's
Oh,
going
yeah,
on.
I mean,
would
that's
agree.
not mutually exclusive either. That's not
Absolutely.
mutually exclusive.
I
I
do think that
mean,
there are some Republicans that absolutely 1000% are doing that. Like, that's why they haven't stood up to him, is because that is their plan. So
Yeah.
you've got all these people and moving parts that want him, that don't want to fight him, but for different reasons that are against one another. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah, this
What I
is
find
normal
more
Canadian
disturbing,
politics.
what I find more disturbing about Trump is how unshakable his base is. That no matter what he
exactly.
does, 30 to 35% of the population continue to
Yep.
support him.
Including my mother. And I mean, like,
Yeah.
what he said on the, back when he was originally running, when he said he could shoot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue and he would still get elected, he was right. He is right. Those
I mean,
30% of people
Yeah.
are fucking insane. I don't know what to say except for they have literally lost their goddamn mind and they should be put to death, because honestly, I don't know what to do with you at this point. I think that you're a hazard to the rest of the world.
Well, one of the things that scares me is the thought that, does that mean that a third of the people in this country are actually stupider than Trump?
That's what I'm saying. They're
Well,
like, you're a detriment to society.
I've personally been watching the education systems in some places go downhill, and I don't think that it's necessarily um, necessarily
A coincidence?
yeah, like I really honestly think
I agree.
somebody's figured out, hey, if we dumb down the systems,
Oh yeah.
we can keep people under control.
Bingo.
Because especially here in Florida, I'm wondering sometimes why there aren't more Democrats elected, because even though there is a strong Republican hold in a lot of the metropolitan areas, we voted blue.
Yep.
Well, if you actually look at the race between Trump and Clinton, the presidential race wasn't decided by states. If you break it down by counties, you will see that
That's how
Clinton carried virtually every metropolitan area. Trump carried all of the rural areas.
Yeah.
That's how it usually goes. Actually, on the whole subject, like I remember hearing a story, and this is, I think, during the Bush Jr. election or something, or maybe even before that, where someone's like, goes to the parents and they're like, "I'm not a Republican," and they're like, I'm a communist, not a Republican," and the parents' response was, "Well, as long as you're not a Democrat."
Oh wow.
So, like, it was kind of a skit, but it makes a point where, like, there are people who will vote for one party or the other. It happens with both. There are people who will vote for one party or another, just without even thinking, without even looking at the platforms, without even looking at anything.
Without policy.
Yeah, and that is and that's definitely our conservatives do nothing but attack the other parties. They don't even show off their own platform all that much. They just attack the other parties mercilessly, and it actually I think that like running attack ads like that and making attacks against anything other than the platform and the policy of the other party or parties is like has no place in politics. And I think a lot of the reason that Trump won the election is that your Democrats were basically making attack ads and making ad hominems and all that, and people and Trump is better at that for one, and like when you bring yourself down to that level, it's just like it has no place. Like you should be running on your platform and your platform alone. So and people have argued with me over that. Like, no, we want to make personal attacks against Trump or against conservatives. Yeah, people have argued this with me. I'm like, no, just stick to your platform and you'll win.
Exactly. It sounds like the DNC, literally, because they're like, we want to beat Trump. That should be the main goal. Policy doesn't matter. And I'm like, the way you beat Trump is through fucking policy.
Yeah. Like attack him on all the stuff he's promised, but he's failed on.
Put Bernie up, forget about Biden, and take the loss, dude. Just take it. Like, stop this ridiculous crap. Stop trying to be Republican light, okay? It's why you lost in the first place.
Yeah, go ahead, Purple.
Unfortunately, the idea of stick to your platform and you'll win, I don't think that would any longer work in America. Because
I don't know.
That's depending on a reasonably intelligent electorate, and I'm not sure we have that anymore. Because the Republicans keep winning, because rather than dealing with the issues that are part of their platform, they get people cranked up on emotional issues about abortion or about the homosexuals that have nothing to do with how they're going to run the government. But that's how they consistently get the vote.
Right. Because they've lost on those issues. When it comes to policy issues, time and time again, Republicans will lose. They lose every time. 80% of America agrees with Bernie Sanders, not Trump.
Yep. So what I think needs to be done is for just to run on your platform, and don't like. I'm not saying don't like go after the other side for things that they like. Go after them for things that they deserve going after for, right? So go after Trump for like not being nearly for wrecking the economy instead of fixing it like he promised. Go after him for not having a wall that he promised. Go after him for being terrible on immigration, like on stopping immigration, because he's not doing that.
That doesn't matter. They've pointed that stuff out time and time again. It doesn't shake his base. The problem is that Trump is going to get 35% of the vote no matter what they do, which means unless the election turnout is above 70%, 35% constitutes a majority.
Well, remember,
and I don't know when we've ever gotten a 70% turnout in an American election.
Yeah, it's
and a big problem is getting young people motivated to go out and vote. If there isn't a good candidate on the ticket that they can get behind, young people are unlikely to go out and vote. And by young people, I mean people 30 years and younger.
Right.
If you get them a candidate they'll care about, they're not going to go. just how it is.
Yeah, and that's
Well,
absolutely true.
I
I
literally,
have a higher.
sorry.
It's okay. Go ahead.
I literally got involved. Like, I literally got political just to get Harper out of office. Like, he's basically our Trump. Like, people got political just to get rid of him.
Okay, I just posted a link in the side chat. Voice of Thunder did a video 2 days ago, kind of explaining the whole thing of why catering to the dumbest percent of the population is a consistently winning strategy in the US.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my point is kind of like you need to get the young people like 30 and under on board, and like I feel like the best way to do that would be to go after issues that they'll care about, right? So if you're running on a platform of like LGBT acceptance, if you're running on a platform of like ending poverty and homelessness, and you're running solely on that, and you're getting people excited about that sort of thing, and you're getting people on board, and not just getting into mudslinging contests with the other side, I think that'll get more people out to vote because people will feel that's an important thing to vote for.
Yeah,
and not
and it's something that DNC doesn't get is that that group 18 to 30-year-old people will vote on issues.
Mm-hmm.
They are convinced that because Bernie is so old that young people won't vote for him.
Right. And see, that's the thing I was going to say is remember, like, the DNC needs to take it on this one. If they want Trump out of office, they need to accept the fact that progressives are the future. They are their future. They're going to lose, just like the Tea Party won and took over the Republicans. The progressives are going to do the same to the DNC. It's inevitable. So just sit back, let it happen. Put Bernie as your front runner, because I'm telling you, like, it's already been studied. He would have beat Trump had they not rigged it.
Yep.
And put Hillary up instead of him. And even now, in the places that you're talking about, the very jurisdictions that you're talking about, where Trump is leading and consistently, is winning, the places that it would also win him the electoral vote. Guess who beats him in every poll? Not by 4 points like Hillary, but by a margin of from 12 to 14 points. Bernie.
Yeah.
In places where Trump won, Bernie polls 12 to 14 points higher than Trump.
Yeah, the other problem, though, that the DNC has is that Bernie is not a Democrat. He's an independent. And the DNC is scared shitless that on some critical piece of legislature, he will do the right thing instead of pulling the party line.
Yeah, because Bernie does. His history, the proof is in the pudding. You can go back to the man's record all the way back to the 80s, and he has always been pro-LGBT. He cares about the people, period. He's not in it for money. He's not in it to play some kind of game. Like, he truly does just want to serve the people that voted him in.
Yep. And yeah, the establishment doesn't like that. It scares them because they'll lose power.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And like I said before, there's a lot of money also in that too. It's always money.
And
it's
that's
always
money
and
Bernie
power.
is in office. Yeah.
Well, that's what the Democrats are afraid of.
Right.
Is that if Bernie does the right thing for the majority of the population, then the corporations with the big money will turn more support to the Republicans.
Well, and if Bernie were to become president, I highly believe that he would enact the very bill that Obama started, but then gutted, and then basically totally just pansied out of, with the exception of like one tiny lobbyist, I think, that he got rid of. But like, it was a bill originally to take money out of politics and outlaw lobbyists.
Yeah, I think I remember that, actually.
And so I think that if Bernie became president, I think that he would actually take on that bill again, like Obama started, only he would not back down and he would see it through.
Yeah, and there are now newcomers who would also have his backing that while they're getting a lot of flack right now, they're
Yep.
also popular in some areas
Right.
too.
Yeah. Well, the other thing Bernie would have done is he would have extended what Obama started about, increasing more people being covered under Medicare and people being able to get better medical coverage. And that scares the insurance companies, which are one of the biggest lobbies.
Exactly.
That makes sense. Actually, yeah, because,
Mhm.
but like the big corporations should want healthcare, like should want universal health. The ones that aren't insurance companies should want universal healthcare, because then it means that they have happier and healthier employees, who aren't worried about, breaking their leg and going bankrupt.
You would think so, because then the companies wouldn't have to provide healthcare for their workers.
Right. But
Exactly.
they don't care about that. They don't care about if you're happy and healthy.
A lot
they
of
care about what you can do right now and breaking your back right
Yeah.
now to make
Yeah,
it for them.
but they'll make more money.
Right.
But if
the long-term projections for a lot of these places is abysmal. They care more about what can I get right now than they are about the long term. That's why we're arguing so badly about things
Bernie
like
folded
climate
like a
change.
cheap suit, my ass. Whatever, dude. Go read.
Bernie does nothing as senator, okay.
Okay.
But the thing is that's why we're having so many of these arguments. Is it's like, oh well, everything's good right now, and it's like, but
everything's
you
not good.
realize,
Everything's
but if you are a CEO of a corporation on a yacht, yes, you think everything's great right now. You're not really thinking, okay, well, if nobody can buy anything, then, where does my money go if nobody can buy anything? Or
Bingo.
they're doing some long-term projections because you have to do some, but I don't think they're seeing past maybe 2-3 years in the future.
Yeah.
I really don't.
None of the executives are seeing past the day they retire. They could care less what happens to the company after that.
Well, I mean,
Mhm.
the thing is that even if they don't care about the company, if there's nobody to buy anything, they're not going to have the ability to buy stuff because it's a cyclical thing where it's like nobody has the money to buy, so a company shuts down, and enough companies shut down in a similar industry, then where are you going to get the goods?
Yeah, well, it's like this. Ontario recently raised our minimum wage to $14 an hour from, I think it was 11.25 or 11.75 or something like that. So somewhere between that. And all of the corporations and everything were in utter outrage over it. And then now they realize that a lot of them are actually making more money because people have more money to spend, even though they're spending more money. They're giving their employees more money. Now, people who didn't have enough money to buy a whole lot are able to buy more stuff.
But that's the thing, is that the corporations here in the United States are fighting $8 an hour minimum wage when it takes almost twice that much to be able to live quasi-comfortably. Like, not even really high on the hog, but just like make your rent and your bills and everything. And
well,
you
in the U.S.
that way, but
yeah, if I could get 40 hours, I'm not getting. I'm
in
only
the
getting like
U.S.
22, but
in any state in the U.S. working 40 hours a week at minimum wage is not enough to pay the rent on a one-bedroom apartment in any of the major cities. That's just paying rent. That's not the rest of your expenses.
Yeah,
food. That's not utilities. That's not maybe going out once a month and
Mhm.
getting a beer.
Yeah. And see, the thing is that we live in a house where the rent has only been raised twice since we got here. We are not paying what regular rent is for this area because our landlord, because we've lived here so long, is basically like, I'd rather be guaranteed the money every month
Mhm.
than raise the rent and have y'all move out. Is pretty much where I think he's coming from. Even
Mhm.
with that, we have to have 4 incomes in our house
Wow.
to make things work.
Mm.
4
Yeah.
different incomes to make things work in this house.
When our minimum wage went up, rent costs almost doubled.
Wow.
Like well, maybe not doubled, but they went up like somewhere between 25 and 50%. So it's really ridiculous. Um, so yeah, it's just like nothing but, oh, people can pay more money now, so we're going to charge an excessive. We're going to start charging an excessive amount, and that went like profits wide. It's just
Yeah.
disgusting.
Honestly, I'm not sure if there was a raise in minimum wage, what my landlord would do. I just know that my landlord has kind of figured what we can or cannot pay and prefers that he has guaranteed money every month
Yeah,
from us because we've basically lived here for almost 20 years and rent has been late 3 times the entire time we've lived here.
yeah. I'm fortunately enough to have an extremely good landlord. So
Yeah.
Yeah. I
yeah,
love my landlord.
I mean, it's at the point where, when I was working at Walmart, I was making I think it's 10.25 an hour or something like that, and I was working there full time. Um, I had to dip into the my disability check that I get from the Air Force every month to make ends meet, literally every month.
Mm.
yeah,
So
Yeah.
even a full time $10.25 an hour job can't get you there,
No.
even in a one bedroom apartment.
no, I basically have a bachelor but share a kitchen and bathroom, and I'm paying $550, which is extremely good.
Yeah, our rent, I won't say what our rent actually is, but our rent is about a good 200 to $300 cheaper than what it would normally be for anybody else
Yeah.
for the area that we live in. Because, like I
Yeah.
said, our landlord kind of has a general idea of what we can pay, and he'd rather have the guaranteed money. Because people
Yeah,
in this area, they often don't pay their rent, and it's not because they don't wanna. It's because a lot of them, honestly, it's like, well, let's toss the bills up in the air, and whichever ones land in this circle is the ones we're paying because that's all the money we got.
yeah. Well, the last few people my landlord had were, and I had to deal with them, were like super crazies. So right now he just doesn't want to have to find new tenants, really, in case he gets more trouble people.
Yeah.
Like one eventually, the reason he left was because he or I got him arrested for assaulting his girlfriend repeatedly. Um,
Oof.
and then the police finally convinced her to press charges. So, and that kid had some serious problems though, like
Yeah.
some absolute serious mental health issues. Um, and he kind of started out really good, but then went completely downhill. Um, so, like, I hope he gets the help he needs. Um, but it's like right now he just wants to. Um, we have people who aren't absolutely insane, and he's he's a bit of a he's a bit of a he's trying to get as much money out of us as he can, but he's other than that, he's not a bad dude. So
Yeah.
We kind of deal with each other
My
on that
ex
level.
landlord, she got what she thought was a good deal on this apartment, and he basically started sexually harassing her and heavily implied that her rent wouldn't go up if she, performed some sort of sexual favors. So she immediately moved out. And anyway, I offered for her to come live with me and my ex at the time. But she didn't want to do that. She's like, no, I'll be fine. And she ended up renting a little apartment above the lady that she worked for at the time. She rented like a garage apartment that they had, which worked out for her at the time. But it was just sad to see because, like, she's one of those people that she's never going to be able to retire ever. Like, that woman will work until her last day. Like, she has no retirement fund. She has no health care. She has no nothing.
I mean, I'm not too far off from that situation, but
Mhm.
at least I have health care.